Hey there! I wanted to come on and share some fun things, some fun synchronicities that have to do with practicing spiritual awareness, being on the path to awakening. How else can I say it? I think you know what I mean. So there's a lot of hard things about it, and maybe hard's not the right word. Maybe that's too strong of a label. There are a lot of growth opportunities that come with a spiritual awakening that may or may not be seen as challenging depending on the situation. But at the same time, it's so much fun too, and there are so many cool things that I get inspired by when I hear others share them. So I'm coming on and I'm sharing some of mine. All right, so where to start? First, I want to talk about this cool synchronicity where it happened last week. One of the things I'm doing right now in my free time is taking a course to expand my light language. So my light language has been activated and I use it daily, several times a day. And I'm working on understanding it more because I love to learn how things work. I love to learn the science around it, and the metaphysics around it, the quantum physics around it, all of that. And so that's what this class is helping me with. And in one of the meditations I was doing with the class, we met our spirit guides. So I met one of my spirit guides, and I journal as I'm going through the meditation and everything. And I captured it in writing. I don't know why I'm sharing that, if it makes a difference or not. But anyway, I felt the need to say that. So as I was journaling and talking about my spirit guide, the one that appeared to me initially was a very large praying mantis. And that threw me off. I'm like, whoa, should I be scared? But the energy of it was not scary at all. It was just different than what I've experienced in the past. I've never seen a praying mantis in real life, and I thought it was interesting that that's what came through to me. And eventually, throughout the visualization, the journey that I was on, the mantis turned it into a green alien with large eyes. So after that meditation, I looked up the spiritual meaning of praying mantis, and there's a few variations of it, but I could tell which one was meant for me with that. And the very next day, I was listening to a podcast by one of my friends. Her name is Bunde-Dunn, and she's got a really great podcast. I can share I'll share the title of it. I don't remember the exact wording, and I want to have it accurate, so I'll share it in the notes here. Highly recommend it. Anyway, she was talking with a gal, and the woman was saying how as she was starting to wake up and allow things to come online for her that she had kind of pushed away as she grew older, and then was opening back up to it again, that she woke up one night and there was a huge praying mantis on her pillow next to her. And so it was less than 12 hours that I had this praying mantis come to me. And then here's this woman talking about as she's waking up or opening up again to spirit, she's seeing a praying mantis, and she shared the spiritual meaning for her in the podcast. And it was a lot of very validating things. Another synchronicity just with that very podcast was that they were talking about hugging trees. And a funny thing was that I'm also doing a 21-day grid working challenge, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. But one of the challenges earlier that week had been to go out and hug a tree. So after I had listened to the podcast, I shared it with Kira. I texted her and I'm like, hey, these really cool synchronicities happened. But so yes, I had actually gone out and hugged a tree. And the funny thing is that I did it in the very dark of the early morning before I left for work, because my husband, I've told him before when we've been walking, I'm like, gosh, I feel really connected to that tree. I'd really love to go hug it. There's actually a tree in Wasika at Clear, why can't I think of this name? Clear Lake Park, that I feel drawn to. And when we were on our walks around the lake one day, I'm like, God, I feel really drawn to go hug that tree. And I could tell by his reaction he would appreciate it if I did not go hug that tree in broad daylight. So there's a tree in our yard that I'm connected to, and have done yoga underneath it, and I'll sit with my back to it in the summertime or in the warm weather months and connect to the tree that way. But I had never outwardly hugged the tree because of stereotypical things, because of fear of judgment. It's what it comes down to. So anyway, that morning I had got out and hugged that tree. Not the morning of the podcast, but just a few days before the podcast. So a lot of fun stuff there. And speaking of, let's see, do I want to go there next? Or do I want to go another space? I'm just going to go to the grid working challenge. So back in January, a group was started up by JJ Brighton, and she has a podcast called Activations with JJ. She's got a lot of stuff available out there on YouTube. And she started up a grid working group that I'm a part of, and a grid working training called Nexus. So if you hear the word grid, first of all, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about when I say grid working. But if you do, and if you feel lit up by it, I would highly recommend checking out this group. It's so amazing, and I don't use that word lightly because I think that word is overused. But so like, here's an example, and I'll try and put a snippet of it in this video here. When I am like in the middle of waking up in the morning, so I think it's hypnopompic. I think hypnagogic is when you're falling asleep, and hypnopompic is when you're waking up. So when you're in that in-between state, a lot of times in the morning I'll get visions. I'll see like codes and things like that, or numbers just cascading down. And like I said, I'll pop a little thing in here of one of the visions that I had. So in this group, you can like go into the group and share in the chat what you're seeing, and other people are like, oh yeah, and that connects with this, and this connects with that. And it feels so validating, for one, that you're not it feels validating that you're not alone. I think that's what the words I'm trying to find. You're not alone in experiencing these things and expanding, because if you don't quite understand what the vision is or what the code is, other people are able to read the energy of it from their perspective and expand on it, and then it makes sense. It's really a lot of fun. Some other things we're doing in that group are working with the heart chambers of Gaia, and let's see here. There's the star code chamber, the star code chamber, the earth code chamber, the DNA code chamber, the water code chamber, and the dragon code chamber. And then there's so we've got the different chambers, and then we've got different types of roles. So grid keepers, code keepers, record keepers, on and on and on. So again, if anything that I said in there like lights you up or makes you more curious, I would check out Activations with JJ. Okay, so some more synchronicities. For the past year or so, and I've shared on podcasts, and my most recent one I shared more detail on it, but I keep seeing the pattern of expansion into multi-dimensions. So initially, when I was on my path to awakening, I had no awareness of other densities and other entities. So like, if you heard about aliens on TV, it's like a scary thing, right? And they're trying to scare us with aliens. Or I've always been into fairies and unicorns, but those are imagination, right? Well, guess what? Those things aren't imagination. They're multidimensional aspects of the universe that we are here in, whether we're incarnate in human form or in any other form. And the more you become aware of your own human self and clearly I'm having trouble finding the words, but that's just because I haven't really talked about it much in order to find the vibration of what I want to express. Okay, so we have our human awareness, and we're so programmed that we are all that exists. But the more that you expand your human awareness, the more you become aware of the fact that we are not even a minute part of what exists. We're like so tiny in the existence of everything, and energies and all of that. So as I've been expanding in my awareness, I've become aware of the pattern that we grow out in a spiral, or we expand it in a spiral, and as we're expanding out, and I'm talking about consciousness, awareness, things like that, as we're expanding out and having more and more awareness of what there actually is, we also deepen within our beings a grounded understanding of things, or a grounded knowing of things too. So there's like this spiral pattern, right? And as I'm listening to another book on the Akashic records, I think Michelle Reich is the gal's name. I think that's what it is, but I'll put that in the notes too. So as I'm listening to this book, and by the way, I've been practicing using the records for over a year now, and I've started learning from one book and then to another book, and as I learn more and practice the material in one book, I'm drawn to another one that expands on the material. And this current book that I'm reading is a wonderful book. I'm listening to it, and then I go in and I like meticulously piece it out and practice it until I embody it. So in this book, it's talking about the records and the energy being a spiral, and she talks about the densities and the dimensions, and I've talked about that on previous podcasts, or on a podcast videos too, about even the last one I did. It was about how you may be spiraling and expanding in one part of your being, like relationships, where and you might be in one stage of that expansion spiral, and then in finances you might be in a different state of expansion spiral. So in this book, it's talking about all of that as a spiral, and how the dimensions and densities and how they are all they're all spirals interacting with each other. And there's a picture in the book that I will try and insert here in this video and give credit to for a visualization. It's the first time I've seen a visualization like that, and it's very activating. When I say activating, sometimes when you hear something comes into your awareness, it sparks something in you, an understanding, a knowing, and then it just becomes part of you. So that's an activation. I think there's other expansions on that term activation too, but that's what I'm using it for in this video. Let's see. I think that was all I wanted to capture, just the fun synchronicities of what I was knowing to be true for me with that expanding spiral thing. What I was getting, what I was perceiving and sensing has been validated by an outside source. So that's the fun part of waking up. That's the fun part of growing within your being and letting your soul, embodying your soul, and as you're like befriending and understanding and nurturing your ego too. So, because it all works together. Yeah. Okay. Well, take care, guys. Have a great day. Bye.